America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday! This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 3, episode 68, titled Corey Crawford or Mackenzie Blackwood. And boy, do I hear that dog in the background.
Oh, Winston. Knock it off. Oh, man.
I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Shorts Guy, Scotty from Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and his dog, Winston. And Beer Baron is out on assignment tonight. We have a big podcast. Boy, last week was just a lot of fun. Shorts Guy, I'm sorry you couldn't make it last week. That sucked.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous because I was I just got home in time to turn it on and listen, and it was a great interview. Reki seemed like a really nice, a really good guy to have on, and you guys did a hell of a job with the questioning. I was jealous I couldn't make it on, but I wasn't gonna make it home in time.
He was a lot more chill than I was expecting. You know, like he was very go with the flow, like just like, I was wondering if he, we always make that joke about, such and such is going to punch me in the face. I was wondering when I asked him about, losing the Eastern Conference Finals, I was like, oh man, Mark Recchi is going to punch me in the face for asking him about this. But that was cool to talk to him just about the young prospects. And, there are so many stories that he was on the other side for and playing 22 years. Like, he really saw that transition of the game back from, we got to talk about, Stevens and Danico knocking you over, clutch and grab, and then, transitioning into this new world of this faster paced NHL, the more open skating, the more open offense. And just to have someone with that experience that crossed over, that's, man, that's crazy. I mean, I forgot he played with Mario Lemieux, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. That was such a cool part of the interview, talking about that transition in the game, because there's not many people that you can get a chance to talk to now that were there for that transition, that played as long as he did, and he was able to talk about it really well, and he did play with Lemieux, which is wild. And I know that when I used to buy CCM sticks, because he was a CCM player. I used to get the Recce curve. It was like one of the better curves to get. That was always like my go-to curve. So that was pretty cool.
Well,
and
he's
Mario Lemieux coach, which is even better.
Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr, Paul Coffey, Rick Tocchet.
Oh man, that
Tom
team
Barrasso.
was loaded. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
dude, that team was loaded. Like I said, I remember going back to the old Brendan Byrne, during the play. I think it was that was that game that Billington started. Oh man, or was that no? Which game was it with like Lemieux scored like 6 different goals? He scored like the shorthanded, the even strength. Like he scored like every possible like way you can. Like man, Pittsburgh used to just annihilate us back then in the early 90s, like just destroy. I remember there's 2 guys next to me always, every time Jagr came down because he had the long hair, they would call him the hippie. And they would just yell like, hit the hippie! Hit the hippie! Like, oh man. So much fun. So much fun.
Oh yeah, and so one or two more losses and Tocchet may never have played at Lemieux because we could have drafted him.
That's true.
Or not Tocchet, excuse me, Recce. I don't know.
Recce.
Sorry. Yeah, Recce, sorry. I got all screwed up there. But yeah, a couple more losses and Lemieux could have been a devil. And you want to go even further down that rabbit hole. Imagine we lose a couple more, we draft Lemieux, and Lemieux's not there to save the Penguins when they're about to go bankrupt a couple years back. Penguins may not even be around anymore. Crosby wouldn't be a Penguin. They wouldn't have won their cups.
That would be a real shit. The Pittsburgh, like Penguins, that's such a storied franchise as well. Like, for a non, original team, like, that's such a like storied franchise there.
Well, they were part of that original expansion, so that's
I know.
They're about as close to original. Which I heard a really wild story of their so when they came into the league, they were using those baby blue jerseys. So the story I heard was that they, when they switched away from them, I guess someone packed a bunch in a box and they tucked them underneath the stands there and forgot about them until years later. Someone found this box of light blue Penguin jerseys just underneath the stands that they had forgotten. Yeah, people they'd just forgotten about. Someone put them there, probably thinking, "Oh, this will be a good spot. We'll just get them out of the way." And like all those years later, someone opened up this box and was like, "Whoa, some of the original baby blues. This is, that was probably a pretty cool find."
Hell yeah! I think Sam had to duck off there. He couldn't handle the Winston in the background. Man, if you could see what's going on the other side of this camera.
Does this go all year round, or does he calm down occasionally?
Oh yeah, no, never. Winston is that English bulldog. He's in that like upper percentile of hyperactive. And the very first time I took him in a vet, because I've had him since he was a little puppy, since he was 5 weeks old. Yeah, they said, "Oh, he has an excitable personality." Winston used to pee every time someone came in the door for like the first 2 years of his life. Like he just gets He's insane. They're like, get him snip. He'll calm down. I'm like, okay, great. Nah, never. He's 9 years old, and he's still going to town over here on this pillow.
Out there firing blanks on the pillow.
Oh man. But anyway, so do you want to talk goalies now, or do you want to talk GMs?
All right. Well, our title is about Corey Crawford and Mackenzie Blackwood. So why don't we start with the goalies, and we can kind of parlay or transition into the GMs and talk about that. So
okay,
we got our title. Corey Crawford and Mackenzie Blackwood, and I think at the end of last season, we were all pretty much under the assumption that it was going to be Mackenzie Blackwood. That was going to be our starter. He played extremely well last year. I think. I think I may have told this on air 2 weeks ago, but no. Whenever it was that we signed Crawford, what was it? The beginning of October. Yeah, it was what, last weekend maybe? I can't.
Last weekend. Like after the draft.
Yeah. All right. So I woke up Saturday morning and I saw that text from you, and I looked at it and I'm like, wait, I was so half asleep and I was like, wait, Corey Crawford? Wait, what? I thought it was a rumor. Like I was half asleep. I couldn't read, I couldn't see. And I was like, Corey Crawford, the Devils, nah. But yeah, that took me by surprise to get him. I mean, he's an established starter. He is older. He is 35, so he's getting towards the end of his career, and played 17 years with Chicago, which is quite a long tenure.
Damn, has it been 17 years?
Yeah, he was there, I believe, 17 years.
What?
Which
really?
Yeah. That's what I was looking up before. Because I was looking up his injury history, which that is a little bit iffy to me. Like he's gotten hurt a couple times. He's had a concussion. 17-year tenure with Chicago Blackhawks.
Damn,
his first season with them.
That long. Wow.
Let's see. Yeah, that's wild.
When did they win their first cup?
2010.
Let me look.
2010.
2010.
It was 2010.
All right, man.
Against the Flyers.
This doesn't seem like that long. But
yeah. He was drafted in 2000. He was drafted in 2003 by the Chicago Blackhawks. Draft. He made that draft.
And he debuted year? Wow.
No, he debuted in 06. But he was property of them from 2003 on. But he made his debut 2006. So yeah, he was just he had been there for a while. So he's he was in their system for a while. He was signed with them for a while, and he made his debut, and he did really, really well. I'm trying to look when that first cup was. I'm looking. Anyway, awards. So yeah, 2013. 2013 was that cup, Stanley Cup there for them. So yeah, he's got the experience. He's won the Jennings Trophy. The guy's experienced, and he's great. He's a great mentor for Blackwood. But I also think the days of what we saw with Brodeur playing, 72, 74, 75 games in a season are gone. We've talked about this in the Hockey on Tap podcast. Those days of a goalie carrying a team for the bulk of the season are long gone. As much as we wanted Corey Snyder to pan out, it just never did. So we may have our, we always talked about having a 1 and a 1A. I know, but he's reunited with Lou, but I think he's going to wind up being in the AHL to start the season at least, which that kind of sucks. But that means he doesn't have to go too far. So he would be in Bridgeport, so that's really not far. He can still stay living where he's living if he wants. It's really from here in North Jersey to Bridgeport, it's only like 2 hours. So it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But I imagine he'll have to, he doesn't want to live in Bridgeport. I went to school there, but, he can have an apartment close and still come home on weekends if he is assigned to Bridgeport. But yeah, as long as Crawford can stay healthy, Crawford, I think, could be a really great addition to this roster and do really good for Blackwood, and to really kind of mentor him. And then he's got that experience of winning a Stanley Cup and knowing what to do to get there and to get through a cup run, and could be that guy that you want, to really kind of. I'm missing words here, but he could be that guy to push us over the edge as far as pushes over the line for goaltending.
I think it'll be good for Blackwood. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it'll be good for Blackwood as well. I think Mackenzie Blackwood. I think Mac Black Attack should be in goal for the majority of the games. Like I said, like you said, I don't think anyone's going to go Brodeur levels, anymore these days. But I think he should get the majority of the starts. But I think what the good thing is, if Mac Black gets on a little, downer streak, it's okay. We have someone like Corey Crawford who can step in, maybe mentor him there. And if he has to get a rest, if he is getting a little overworked, I think Corey could really help out in that situations where he could roll off like 2 or 3 games in a row and give Mac Black a little rest, maybe mid-season kind of deal. And I think he'll be good just for mentoring. But I'm no GM, I'm no coach, but I would think that Mac Black would get the majority of the starts, this coming season.
Yeah, but even if you did a 50-50 split or a 60-40 split, I think that would be, either one of those splits would be great. And obviously, if one of the two guys gets really hot and you want to ride it, ride that guy, that's fine. Do that too. It's just to have those two
Crawford
good goalies. Oh, it's definitely going to benefit Crawford if he can go. If he can split a season and get 40 games in, 35 games in, maybe 30 or, potentially more, 50, if he winds up being, top of the pecking order there, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember when the Islanders drafted Rick DiPietro and the following year, they went on a spending spree and they got Chris Osgood.
Yes.
Yeah.
That reminds me of an Osgood DiPietro scenario back in 2001, something like that. That was the idea that you put in a veteran.
Dare put that on Mackenzie Blackwood, comparing him to Rick DiPietro. Are you kidding me?
No.
What are you trying to do, Sam Wu?
Whoa. I was not comparing it. I was not comparing that way. What I was comparing
Sam Wu. Sam Wu. Don't jinx him.
Have the veteran help him along, but eventually he takes over.
If we sign Mackenzie Blackwood to an 18-year contract, I'm going to blame you, Sam Wu.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you guys totally missed the point. I was basically talking because at the time I'm like, why would you draft this guy number 1 overall and then suddenly put in Chris Osgood, in a guy that's won cups, with the Detroit Red Wings, and I thought Osgood, when he played, was a very underrated goalie. He was played in a great franchise with the Detroit Red Wings, but it was Martin Brodeur and Dominic Hasek that just dominated headlines, and Patrick Waugh, during the 90s and all that. And I see that Corey Crawford's kind of the same player.
So many good goalies.
Yeah. Corey Crawford, I think, is very underrated. Yeah.
Curtis Joseph was bouncing around a couple teams.
But I think this will help
Mackenzie Blackwood at the end of his career. That's without a doubt it's going to help Blackwood. Corey Crawford is just hopefully going to stay injury free. He's had some concussion issues. He's had a couple really odd injuries. You'll like this one, Scotty. As I was doing some research, he hurt his foot where was that? I guess he hurt his foot and was out for a little while because he went to go see Rise Against during the season. Yeah. Nice. So he went to go see Rise Against in December of the 2014-15 season, wound up hurting his foot and being out for a little while. He missed like 3 weeks. So first of all, the guy likes to go to shows, and if he's going to hurt his foot at a show, that means he's probably going into the pit. So he sounds like my kind of guy already. And as long as he, I would say that maybe at 35 he isn't going into mosh pits, but I'm still going into mosh pits, and I'm older than Corey Crawford, so I can't guarantee that he's doing that. But I mean, some of his other injuries, I just really hope that he did lose a lot of games to injury. It seems like he's just like he had an emergency appendectomy one season. He had some undisclosed upper and lower body injuries. So just as long as he stays healthy, I think we've got a really solid goaltender. And, one of the, like Sam was saying, he's definitely a big name goaltender that was sort of underrated. in Chicago and, still won 2 cups with them, but still a solid goaltender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like the signing. I think with Blackwood taking the share of the starts, like we said, I think it'll give Crawford the chance to avoid some of these injuries that he's been saddled with because he was going out there as a number one night after night. And it'll give his body, because he is a little bit older, a little bit more time to rest and recover. I'm sure he's going to have a little streak here and there where he's, he may be the hot hand and, for maybe gets like a 2-week run or something like that where he's, but I think overall, by the end of the season, like you said, like a 60-40, I think that would be great, because that would take a lot of the pressure off of Blackwood. And it also takes a lot of the pressure off of Crawford's, body. Just recovering from, you play goalie. It's not easy, man. You got to stretch out. You got easy to tweak things in your hips and your thighs.
Oh, absolutely.
Your hamstrings, your back. Oh, forget it, man. Like, it's easy. And so, hey, it's 35. It happens. You get a little older. You need a little more time to recover from those things. I think it'll be beneficial for both of them. Like a 60-40 split, I would be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as I'm sure Snyder was a big help to him, the one thing with Snyder is he hasn't won a cup yet. He came close. He saw what it took to get almost there, but Crawford has done that. He's reached that pinnacle. So that experience is just so valuable, especially not just to Blackwood himself, but to the rest of a room full of young kids who haven't won.
Yep.
And young kids who haven't had playoff experience. Except for a handful that were there for that one season that we, stretched it, a couple extra games against Tampa. So that leadership in the locker room is just going to be just so valuable to everyone, but Blackwood especially, because it definitely takes a different mindset as a goaltender to be in those situations. Like you can get, we've heard Grant Marshall talk about in the past, like, him being on the bench with Friesen and trying to calm him down, try to help him along. But, when you're out there as the goaltender, you've got no one out there to kind of be in your ear, be like, listen, calm, everything will be fine. You just go out there and do your next shift. You have to do that yourself. You have to be your own best friend and therapist and supporter, all in one, in that, all that contained within your helmet, because you can get so hard on yourself if you let in a couple bad goals, and especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you got to be able to just, as I tell my goalies all the time, take the time it takes for you to dig a puck out of your net that you just let in. From that moment to when the puck is dropped, that's when you do all your calculations and all your figuring of what you did wrong, what you could have done better, and what you're going to do next time. And as soon as that puck is dropped, you forget about it and move on. That's really the time frame that you're running with after a goal in order to get it out of your head. And those things will be great for great for Blackwood, with having Crawford in net there. Someone who's done it, someone who's gotten all the way.
Yeah.
So, plus, it was really cool to read. Crawford said that he had posters of Brodeur on his wall growing up. Outside up there in Quebec. And, getting a call from Brodeur, kind of sold him on coming here. And, that must have been so cool to get that phone call and then decide that, that's just so cool that's your selling point, is to come join a team, that's being, run by your hero. It's like, that's so cool. Yeah,
I can only imagine. Hopefully it wasn't like the Enterprise rent-a-car commercial. What kind? Or maybe it was. What kind of team are you looking for? Describe it to me.
Oh,
we need to get we need to get that. Need to get that commercial, that audio. Sam Wu, we can have some fun with that. I think
describe it to me.
Yeah, describe it to me. I got some good ideas that just popped into my head there that we can use that for.
What's that, boys?
The Enterprise commercial.
The Enterprise commercial with Marty.
Okay.
The Stanley Cup?
You want it?
Must be the Calder Trophy.
the one where they call him about forgetting a cup in the car.
Yeah. We'll have a creative brainstorm Sam, and I have some good. I think I have some good ideas where we can use that. But yeah, that's awesome. And I'm happy that Crawford's here, and I'm glad that he was a fan of Marty. I mean, how can you not be if you're a goalie? Growing up, he's got to be someone that people looked up to with his hybrid style. I remember when I used to play goalie for a while. When I was younger, of course I copied Marty, put the blocker down, and that's what I saw all the time because that's what I always watched. So
yeah,
good for Corey. That Crawford,
yeah, that was you, me, and every other goalie in North Jersey that was starting to play in the mid to late 90s was Brodeur. But yeah, to be able to get that call from that guy that you looked up to, especially for Crawford being somewhat, Brodeur was somewhat of a local hero too, not just someone, playing for, Brodeur was playing for our team. So of course we're going to idolize him, but, someone who's from, the local area that's doing so well, that's just so cool. And yeah, that, to be able to get that call and that be the, part of the selling points to come here, it seems like that they're willing to improve in all facets of our team, which is another good sign that we're seeing. I don't think any, if you would have looked at the scorecard and said, okay, we're gonna sign an established Stanley Cup, champion veteran goaltender, that would have been real low on our scorecard of moves the Devils were going to make. That one came out of left field. I was not expecting that.
Well, I don't think any of us were really expecting the buyout either of Corey. I mean, I guess they really
we're hoping for it.
I don't know. I was a little. I kind of wasn't, but I mean, it shouldn't really bother us that much. I mean, it's 4 years now instead of just 2. I was ready to just ride it out these last 2 years and be done with it. But like I said, I'm not a GM, so if they felt that they really lost all confidence that they couldn't run him out there like that, if Blackwood does get into a little spell where he needs a little break or something like that, if they didn't have that confidence in Corey, then it was the right move then, and we'll see. I mean, I think the way it turned out, we're basically paying the same amount of money anyway. So with the buyout and with Crawford's contract, so it should be fine. And then in those final 2 years, it's only it's $3 million. So it's not the end. It's not the end of the world.
I'm really kind of curious now, kind of thinking about that. And, would we have bought out Snyder had Blackwood not become available?
You mean Crawford?
Crawford, sorry. I can't think anymore. Yeah, Crawford and not Sam, you might just want to mute me because I'm just sounding like an idiot tonight. Okay, let me start that one over. Had Crawford not become available, would we have bought out Corey Snyder and let him go?
I think so.
You still think we would have done it?
Yeah, I think it was A to B, not B to A kind of thing. It wasn't like, oh, Crawford's available, we can go. Excuse me. Oh, we can now go buy out Schneider. I think they made up their mind that they lost confidence in him, and we saw it. We all hoped for those glimpses, but I would be lying every time I saw a shot go against Corey Schneider where I was just like, it was like every shot I was like, oh my God, is he gonna get so I like Corey though, and I know he gave his heart, gave it all. He just got hurt, and he got older. What can you do? Can't react as fast. It's, nothing against him, but I wish him all the best. But I think they really lost. I think they really just lost confidence. And I think I think Omar was saying he wants to see a 50-50 split the first year. I don't think Devils, management would have been comfortable going into this season. Say that was the plan, is saying that Corey Schneider and Mackenzie Blackwood are going to be a 50-50 split. 40 of those. You don't know. I don't know. I think they just lost that. I feel
you wouldn't even know if Snyder would be available for those games. If he, it's like if he was even going to remain healthy. But then again, it's not like, it's not like Corey Crawford has been injury free his entire career either.
This is also true.
Not nearly the level of injury that Snyder had, but Crawford doesn't have a spotless injury career either. So
that's why I think it was also kind of a little fly move, getting Wedgwood back as well into the minors.
Yes.
Keeping him just in case is a little follow up. I gotta say, and this we can kind of use this as a little transition point. That it's been naturally happening here. Talking about like the GMs and just going over how the team has been built and set up here. I thought that was a pretty sly move by Fitzy. Bringing Wedgwood back, putting him into the minors, getting Crawford. Getting Ryan Murray, getting Janssen. Right? Am I saying it? Is it he pronounces it weird, right? Mango. We lost Pickles, but we gained a Mango. So we'll just call him Mango from now on.
There you go.
But he's got 3 years left. That's a pretty nice move. Ryan Murray is only one. So you're really kind of low risk, high reward there. If he stays healthy, he can be a real force. Like we talked about, maybe a younger version of Sami Vatanen. But I kind of like the way the team is constructed for right now. Do you think they are done adding pieces? Because I see people on the Facebook page are saying we need to get a defender, we need to get this, we need to get that. I'm almost of the thought process that Fitzy is going to let this play out a little bit like this and see some of these younger prospects come up. And if they can find, a way, I think maybe we have some veterans in some performance tryouts, kind of deal. But I think we're going to see this rebuild start to happen in a very strategic way. And I have some, other thoughts on that. But I don't think you're going to see that big flashy name. Remember, we were talking about Pietrangelo. Yes, that would be nice to have Pietrangelo. It would shore up our defense. Boom. But he's 30 years old. If you pick up Pietrangelo, and this is, Fitzy was like, I don't see that making sense for us. And I was like, why doesn't he see that making sense for us? Because you pick up Pietrangelo and you immediately turn from a rebuilding team into we need to start adding to try and win now team. Pietrangelo is not going to come here and want to wait another 4 years or, 3 or 4 years until we're ready. So that's why it doesn't make sense to bring him in like that. The young, controllable assets. That's what Fitzy has been talking about. I think you're going to see a really, really strategic rebuild. And, then you kind of look at Ray. Well, what was Ray doing? And I think Ray's greatest moment was also his downfall, the Taylor Hall, because as soon as Taylor Hall came here, Taylor Hall wants to go to the playoffs. Taylor Hall wants to, be the superstar, wants to be the center of attention. He also doesn't want to sit around for a rebuild. I don't know, I signed in Buffalo, but whatever, things happen. But I think, that's where, maybe it went off the rails for Ray a little bit. Like he had to change the course of the team a little bit. Fitzy seems to, I don't know, maybe he's not done and he's going to shock us with some big trade or some big move or something else. It could happen.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
but I think we're seeing a more strategic, rebuild, saving cap space for a couple years down the road when Jack Hughes, are we going to sign Nikita Gusev? Are we going to re-sign Kyle Palmieri? Are we going to let Travis walk, or is he going to stick around? Ball, Ty Smith, Riley Walsh. How do we say his name? Ahoychuk or something. I can't remember. The Russian Nikita O. That's what I'm going to call him. Nikita O. 4 really big defensive prospects. We got Nolan Foote coming up. We have some other, forward prospects. Yep. Alex Holt that we just drafted. Dawson Mercer. We may not see them this year, obviously, but soon, down the line, these guys are projecting to be some pretty big, powerful weapons. We'll see how it happens. Of course, we can only project right now. But I like that we're not we have a lot of cap space, but we don't have to spend it. You know, there's no one saying that we have to spend everything, you know?
That cap space, I'll tell you what, that cap space is going to come in handy because right now there's so much uncertainty with the NHL and the gate receipts and revenue, which is tied into that collective bargaining agreement. I would probably want to just go younger right now and stick with the young kids. I wouldn't want to sign anybody unless there's a particular situation that arises. It's probably most likely through a trade, and it's got to be a sweetheart deal. So it's not to discount your theory of Fitzy getting somebody and signing a big contract, but it's got to be in uncertain times. I like having that cap space where you have options and you don't have to lose a fan favorite over money because the cap's not going up or the cap suddenly goes down. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen next season when is it going to be 25% capacity for these games? Do we even know anything about it? You know, and if it's 25% capacity, that means less revenue, and it's a gate-driven league, and the TV contract is not like what the NBA or NFL has, or Major League Baseball as well. So so it should be interesting. I'd rather go younger right now and stay the course than go splurging money when fans can't even see that player live. That's just me. Or live, I meant.
Live, of course.
Yeah.
I think the answer to your question is basically in your explanation. We're going to be in a rebuild for at least a couple years. I answered this question on Monday on the Hockey on Tap podcast. You know, realistically, I think our best bet of getting to the playoffs will be at least in 3 years. So I don't. Here's the thing. Because of that, the chances of us bringing in a big name player is going to be difficult because you need to basically say, listen, you're going to come here and lose for 3 years and then we'll do well. I don't know any player or anyone that wants to go to a job that they're going to lose for the first 3 years and then have success. Now, if they can find someone to buy into that, great. That means that they have someone that wants to be here, and that's phenomenal. If that's the case, bring them in. But it's going to be very difficult to convince someone in the prime of their career to come to a team. And I'm not trying to be negative, but we're not going to win the cup in the next 2 years. We may have a shot to at least make the playoffs in 3. But and players' careers can be very short. Some can be very long. I mean, Recchi played for 22 years, but you're a bad turn, a bad hit, a bad shot away from ending your career on any given night. So these players are going to try to do two things. They're going to try to, one, make as much as they can in the short playing career that they have, set themselves and their families up, and rightfully so if you can do that. And two, they're going to take every opportunity to win and to get that Stanley Cup. Now, if it's a guy that has won and is willing to kind of take that, like I said, willing to come here, well, that's a different story. But for the most part, it's going to be hard. We're a hard sell right now. We were a hard sell to begin with. We're even a harder sell now that we're in this rebuild, and we've been in a rebuild, and we've pretty much flatlined since that one playoff run. We were looking good at the end of this season, but we've pretty much flatlined.
Yeah, I am, but I think we're gonna. I don't know. You're right. It's gonna take time. It's gonna be a couple years, and I'll throw this out to the Facebook page now. Go ahead, because I don't know. I think that Fitzy is done. Besides a couple, training camp tryouts, like we just talked about. I don't think it makes sense to bring in that super big, signing or shock trade. Maybe at the trade deadline, if someone becomes available, like a younger asset or something like that.
We're right on the cusp, and we're on the cusp. Yeah, I mean, if we're on the cusp of making the playoffs, we can easily. Well, I don't want to say easily. It'll be easier for us to bring someone in.
it'll be easier, but I don't know. I just don't see I don't know. I think Fitzy is going to be a little bit more strict and really stick with the plan and not like get. So that's why I think Ray. I think he just got sidetracked by the Taylor Hall, the spotlight, whatever was going on with John Hines as well. Like he was so attached to him. Those two things I think has really got in the way. What I was going to say was throwing it out to the Facebook page because I don't think we're going to get any sort of other big signings. So what do you guys got? Throw me some line combinations. Let's go. Let's see what you got. What you think we're going to be throwing out there this year? I'll let you see. I want to see what you guys think some combos are going to be. So let me see who we got. Nico. Palms. I can't even remember who was. It's been so long. I was trying to think. I'm like, who was Zaka and Gusev playing with? Were they playing with Jack Hughes right at the end of the season? I was trying to remember all the different line combinations by the end.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what they were. Mikey
McLeod
been such a long time.
Will Mikey McLeod? Will it be like a McLeod, Bastian, and Hansen? Is that a line right there? Is that a third line?
Could be. It would make Beer Barons Day.
It would make Beer Barons Day. I'm just trying to look up where are all our Jesper Boquist, Nolan Foote. How do you say this guy's name? Jan Kukanen, I think. Kukanen? Kukanen? Something like that? I think he just got loaned out to the Finnish league, actually.
We got some.
Nick Merkley.
We've got a couple names we got to learn for this coming year. We have a couple difficult names that we may have to talk about. And if we're talking about them because they made the team, that's great.
I'm looking at this one. Yegor Sharangovich. Sharangovich. Oh man. Mikhail Malsteif. I think that one's pretty. Fabian Sutherland. That's an easy one. Marian Studenik. Ben Street, no, that he's going to be in the minors. Merkley, Bastian.
By the way, I just did the math. It's 221 days since we last. 222 days since we last saw Devils hockey. I just did the math. 222 days. Aside from lockout and contract years, this is a long time without Devils hockey. And
it's very long.
And we've been podcasting all the way through that.
Yeah, I know.
222 days without Devils hockey, and we've been finding things to talk about.
What is it? Yeah, I know. What is today? Today's the 18th, so we are what, 29 days away from, or 28 days away from, oh no, wait. What is it? November 15th, training camp opens, right?
Well, is that the thing? Is that the date that they can open their facilities, or that they'll actually have training camp?
That I don't know. I think that's the day that players are allowed to get back on the ice.
Okay. I'm curious because I have not heard anything.
Because then we'll have something new to talk about other than. Did you see Nikita Gusev skate around the rink today? Oh my God. I've never seen anyone skate like that. It was unreal. We only got five defensemen on the roster right now. Not from the minors, not prospects.
I'm really thinking that this is going to be the year that we see Ty Smith make the team. Now, whether he stays with us or goes to Binghamton,
these spots are there.
I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be staying with the team.
Especially on defense, these spots are there. PK, Ryan Murray, Damon Severson, Butcher and Connor Carrick. Will Butcher, he's a talented prospect, but he's been in the league now, 3-4 years. I know it takes a little bit longer for defensemen to develop.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. He may find himself, a healthy scratch like he did last season every now and then, and hopefully that, lights a fire underneath him and gets him, producing a little bit more. He had such a hot rookie season when he came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I feel like his growth has kind of been a little stagnant. But as we have seen, it does take longer. Everyone knows it takes longer for defensemen to develop. But right there's openings. I mean, you really, you got like 2 spots that are basically open there.
And we have a new coach, so we have to see what Lindy Ruff is going to want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And how he handles the youth and what he does as far as wanting to keep them around, wanting to have them go back to Binghamton, and then who knows, we may see some of our draft picks who are playing over in Europe currently. They may come over here and jump right into the roster. It's such an odd year for draft picks because a lot of these kids are playing right now. And they're playing at pretty decent competitive levels. So we could see these kids go from being drafted in the beginning of October to making, the training camp roster in November. Which at that point, if we're going to, so now I'm curious how that's going to work too. Like you have these kids that are playing over in Europe. Let's say we want to bring them into camp. I wonder what that does for them and their playing ability in their other leagues. Like, do they have to just kind of up and they're done, or can they take like a leave of absence? And if we want to send them back, we'll send them back to their leagues. So this is definitely a whole new thing.
I don't think any of them are expected to be in training camp.
Okay.
Or I thought that's what Fitzgerald had said because they're already playing in their other leagues.
Now, but what if they do? What if they turn it on? I'm sure he'd be open to bringing them over here if they all of a sudden were like doing really well.
I think they have to finish the season.
Oh, you mean
over there?
So yeah,
which is already because it's already started.
Yeah, and it's
Sweden. Okay, Sweden never shut down. Sweden never locked down.
No, they never did.
COVID.
They never did. They went the whole herd immunity thing. This is such an odd season that we just have all these things, and on top of that,
Jersey Joe said Holtz League ends March 11th.
Okay, so potentially be here for a playoff run. So potentially here for a playoff run. If we were close, we could bring them over. Playoff push. Let's start with that. But you know what though? Even if we're not anywhere near the playoffs, we can, I can see them coming over here, kind of like the kind of how we flood the team with rookies to give them tryouts. If we're not qualified for the playoffs and it's just kind of like we're playing out the season, we could see them all be here at the end of March, beginning of April, just to get a couple games and just see what they can do.
Could be, but wouldn't that then mess with their eligibility and stuff like that? Well, I guess it would depend on how many games they do play.
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. Well, from that Fitz interview, it didn't sound like he expected, for us to, maybe we will. Who knows? But he didn't seem.
It's 2020. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Matt Junio was just saying here. The Quebec Major Juniors just suspended all their games basically for this weekend. So
I had heard.
Isn't that where Dawson? That's where Dawson Mercer is.
Might be. Yeah. I had seen someone post in a goalie group and saying that the rinks were shutting down again in the area of Quebec, which could you imagine having all that come back and then having to shut down again? That would just be miserable. I mean, I understand
gonna have to
why.
Have outdoor games. Just gonna have all outdoor games. That's how it's gonna be.
I know.
It's outdoor hockey, baby.
Speaking of all that, did you see the potential realignments for the divisions?
No, but they should do it though, for this year, so they can restrict travel. Probably it's probably a smart idea.
All right, so from what I've got here, and this was sent to me by the guys in Hockey on Tap, It was posted originally by Spit and Chicklets. So potential new divisions. So I don't know what the source is, but the way that this is outlined here shows us in a division with us, Rangers, Islanders, Boston, Philly, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo as like an East.
Okay.
It's got
Canada just all going to be against each other.
Yeah, a northern division of Canada, which that travel will suck.
From west, to east to west. Woo.
Potential southern division of Columbus, Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, Carolina, Tampa, and the Panthers in Florida. And then you have another murderous travel division. You have the West would be Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado, Arizona, Vegas, and the 3 teams in California: Ducks, Kings, and Sharks. So you won't, and potentially you wouldn't even see that your beloved New Jersey Devils in LA, depending on if they're trying to keep travel really down to a minimum.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean the West isn't that Minnesota. It sucks for Minnesota, but I mean everything else is not bad by plane.
Well, I mean
going to Arizona, going to if LA to Vegas is 45 minutes by plane. It's ridiculously fast.
I mean for those 5 teams that are there, but then if you're Minnesota, Colorado, or Dallas, that can still suck because you're still
by plane. Though. But it's not that bad.
It's not. But you're going from the Central Division to the from Central Time Zone to Pacific Time Zone. So that time zone change, for the 2 Central Time Zone teams like Minnesota and Dallas, if you're bouncing back and forth, like that's gonna suck. Like all the other, you have the other teams that are within an hour. You have all of our teams that we would play. We're all in the same time zone, so that's not going to factor in. You've got a couple teams in one of the other divisions in that whatever potential Southern division. Those being in 3 different time zones. It's not so much the distance. It's that time change that you got to figure out. And I got to assume that they're probably going to try to keep it so that they're not going to do a lot of staying in the city that they're going to, potentially showing up the morning of, or the night before and leaving immediately after, but not going into a city. It's going to be all different when we get into this coming season. It's just going to be all different and weird.
Yeah, I mean it'll be much like the baseball season. Hopefully. The guys take care of themselves and they're safe. I mean, we had a really good track record with the bubble up for the playoffs, but this is travel now. Getting into the airports, out of the airports, it just creates a whole other world of potential outbreaks. So we'll see. Hopefully, everyone is safe, but the less travel they have to do, the better. And
agreed.
I'm all for it. If there was a game, I think I would go. Like we talked about, keep people away from me. I'd love if there was only 1,000 fans allowed into the arena. Then I'll just be like, you get all the way in your section over there. I'll have this whole section to myself, and I'll be cool and happy. Yeah, have a nice little couple. We'll go have a little podcast right there from a section up in the upper deck of the Rock. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I would, if I had the opportunity to go, I would absolutely go, as long as it was safe. I would go. I would take the precautions I needed to do. I would be as safe as I could, but I would absolutely go. And just to be, I mean, I got to go this morning down to Red Bull Arena to go set up some banners, and it was just so great to just be inside the arena there again. And we were having the same conversation about soccer. If they allowed us to go, and all of us that were there were like, yeah, we would absolutely, do what we had to do to go. It would be great. it's going to be less people. I know that, from what I heard from ticket reps, there, the potential going into this season is that there wouldn't be individual game tickets sold. You would have to have a package in order to get a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a potential thing to kind of keep the numbers down. I guess it's also a potential to try to get numbers of season ticket holders up too. So
they should do. I mean, they should do the cardboard cutouts as well. I mean, that worked well for baseball. Like just put them in. It would be great if they did like a section of that, and then the next section they actually have real people, and then another section of like kind of like checker it around the arena. But that way, it also keeps like the fans separate, section by section. But it also keeps it full, and that way they can. I mean, baseball, you had to pay money. It's not just like your cardboard cutout was put there for free.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of Mets fans that did it, and it costs money to do that. So it's just like selling tickets. So if the NHL is smart, they'll get on it, and get their cardboard cutouts going as well and sell tickets that way.
Well, I mean, that, and you also have the potential to not only do that for the teams to make revenue, but tarp off the sections in the arenas that are on camera and sell ad space on it, like you see in the NFL and what MLS has been doing. MLS has a lot of the sections tarped off with green tarps, so they can digitally throw up whatever ad they want to. So you have another revenue stream there, along with cardboard fans. But if you're going to let a small percentage of fans in, then I don't know if cardboard fans, actually, yeah, it would be an option for the fans that don't feel comfortable going. Yeah. If you had some cardboard fans, but then again, it's also going to, determine on, maybe they should, if they wind up tarping off and selling ad space, they're probably going to go with the maximum amount of money that they can make, which could potentially be the ad space.
They could do that, but they can put the fans anywhere. It doesn't and they can. I mean, they can get it done. They can get it. I mean, the cardboard fans, they can put them anywhere, and it can happen.
I think
they just have to be creative with it.
You know what though? They have to be creative with it. But if you're gonna have cardboard fans, and if I'm a fan and I'm paying for a cardboard cutout of me to be sitting in a seat, I want to be able to. I want those cardboard fans to be visible on camera. Like they had in baseball, they had them right behind home plate. But that's what I'm saying. Like they would have to look at, are they getting more revenue from an ad that's sitting on a tarp, or are they going to get more revenue from cardboard fans? Will they lose revenue by putting cardboard fans? Like it's something that they would have to figure out.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, there's ways to do that too, is you don't have to tarp off the entire section. You could tarp off half of it. You could tarp off different portions of it and put the fans in the back behind it, or put the ads behind, like there's all certain things that you can promise behind the scenes. We will make sure that your ad is seen in every aerial shot, overhead view of the rink that we do, like but there's ways that they can get around it and they can make money. They just got to get a little bit more creative with it. It's just like concerts. You see people doing the drive-in theaters. What the hell? Like, just have a band go play at one of the drive-in theaters and have people like drive their cars there and stay like distanced and everything like that. Like there's ways to do it. They just have to start like adapting to it and realize that life has changed. Life has changed right now. So we don't know what's going to happen.
And then you can do there. You can sub a demo derby for the mosh pit.
Oh man, but it's. I mean, there's ways to do it. I'm a fan of it too. Good.
There are.
Like, let them make their money. I was gonna send in like a cardboard cutout of myself and Winston to the Mets games after, Michael Conforto and Jeff McNeil had their dogs out there. And I was like, oh yeah. And then, then I realized, wait a minute, it's the Mets. I know what's going to happen here. So I just didn't waste the money on it. Maybe next season. We'll see.
Here's I'm going to tell you what I hope doesn't happen. Here's what I hope doesn't happen. I hope they don't start selling ad space on jerseys or equipment.
That I'm not a fan.
I hope they don't do that. 100%
agree.
I mean, soccer jerseys are one thing with the shirt sponsor. That is annoying for, some of them do it right. Some of them look real annoying. But if you look at any European league for hockey, they've got ads everywhere, including goalie pads, which takes away a lot of creativity on the goalie's part. That's the one thing I hope they do not do at all, is start selling ad space on players' equipment or player jerseys.
Yeah, I don't really like that I saw it, on the NBA jerseys. I'm not a big fan of it.
At least that one is small. That one is small.
It's small. I don't know. It just looks weird to me. But the best ever, my friend, when I lived in Australia, my friend was from South Africa, and he was a English APL league. Huge fan. And his favorite team was Newcastle. And he had the Newcastle the year that they were sponsored by Newcastle beer. So they actually had like the Newcastle. That's the greatest like jersey sponsorship one like of all time. That jersey was so freaking cool, and I was like, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of the idea, but put it on the ice. Like there's places where they can put it on the ice. I think they do a good job. I don't want it to see it oversaturated like some of those European leagues where it's just way too much. But I mean, they can add something here or there, like a little thing here or there. Nothing too crazy, but one more or two more spots just to generate a little more revenue. Why not? I'm fine with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw this one at you. This could potentially be our last thing for the night. The AHL has nets that are painted blue. Would you go for that?
For what? Why is it blue?
The nets, the iron of the nets is painted blue because they're sponsored by Geico. So instead of a red goal, it's blue. It's blue.
So the goals would be a different color.
Yeah, that's the sponsorship they have. I don't like it.
Can they just put like the Geico on the net, on the netting in the back?
No, it's on the posts. Like the posts are all painted that royal blue with Geico logos on the posts and the crossbar.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. I was thinking like a blue. Okay, so the posts are blue.
Yeah.
Why can't they just like print it on the back of the net, like across the back?
I don't know. Probably so much because better. Because you wouldn't see it.
Well, you'd see it on every shot on goal, basically. I think you. Yeah.
You would see it. You would see it from the front, from the couple camera angles from behind, but not normal gameplay. I mean, if someone's going to fork over millions of dollars for sponsorship, they want their brand to be front and center. I mean, Sam knows a lot about it about this. Like, if you're going to have branding on anything, and you're going to pay a ton of money, you want it front and center.
Top of the goal.
Absolutely.
Top of the net.
No,
Absolutely.
Still can't even.
Well, this is why I'm not in advertising.
Exactly.
Yeah, just put it in the place where no one can see it. That's good. Yeah, done. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll take your money. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Is that the music I hear?
It is.
Yep,
it
that's
is.
music.
Time for the old final thoughts, huh?
Yep. All right, I'll start. My final thought, Crawford's got number 50, and I'm highly considering if I can swing a new jersey this year, or if I do get one, I'll get a Crawford jersey.
Okay.
Scotty?
My final thoughts is just been really happy with Fitzy. Really happy with Fitzy, and glad to see these moves, and I'm excited to finally see these young kids, to really finally see them and to have them get their opportunity and shot. And I cannot wait, whatever it is, 26, 27 days till the camp or where they're allowed to open up facilities. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be nice.
Yeah, we're back in March. Remember that question I posed to you guys? How are we going to fill in content for potentially 9 months? We're almost there. We're almost there.
We did it.
222 days later, here we are, still talking.
Also, I just want to plug. Devils Fan Club has Doc Emmerich, October 26th. They're going to have a virtual, Zoom call, and exclusively for the Devils Fan Club, you would have to be a member to attend.
Cool.
Doc Emmerich is promoting his book. I forgot what the book's called. It's like Mike On or something like that. But I'll figure it out by next week. Also, the
Never takes a shift
off. The Bunker Studio is under construction right now. Contractors were working there. Shorts Guy, you'll be there next week. Yeah,
we'll be.
We hired Shorts Guy for some slave labor, and whoops. Anyway, till next time, let's go Devils.